Premier League soccer is right around the corner, and for the first time in show history, we are going to cover it. Welcome back to Beyond the Arc with Brandon Silvers. As always, I am your host, Brandon Silvers. Okay, after every World Cup, I get really into soccer, and I tell myself, I'm going to follow soccer. I never do that until now. Seems like the perfect time. I was just way too into the World Cup to let this slide past. So we will be covering it pretty regularly here on the show and over at brandonsilvers.com, where I have the world's greatest weekly sports watch guide that comes out every Thursday morning. Now, to cover it properly, we need to learn about all the teams. And personally, I need to pick a team. So we're going to do just that today. But first, in case you're wondering why Premier League, well, it is one of, if not the elite soccer leagues in the world. I do follow MLS, specifically Atlanta United, even though they're having an incredibly tough season. But you can see that the soccer is just a step or two below these truly elite leagues like the Premier League. So you've got elite soccer, and the schedule is incredibly favorable if you're trying to watch on TV. I'm normally an early riser. This is even more true now that I have a 1-year-old son. So a lot of these games come on Saturday morning before college football, Sunday morning before NFL, Monday afternoon when nothing else is really on sports-wise. So if you get some time then, you can check them out. So it seems like the ideal league to cover, for me as an American at least. And again, we're speaking all in Eastern time. So that's why we're going EPL. How are we going to pick a favorite team? Well, I'm going to take the entire 2026-2027 season to do so. And we're going to do it starting today using a tier builder. And the information I'm going to use to build the initial tiers out, I'm going to do so in the most American way possible, incredibly superficially, and using a lot of information gathered from Wikipedia. So, without further ado, let me pull up the tier maker here and my notes. We are going to get started opening up with last year's champions, Arsenal. So I do have some shame. I'm a Dodgers fan and a Lakers fan who they just sold that team for billions and billions of dollars. With that being said, despite me being fans of these two historic, iconic franchises, and I will note, I started following these teams when they were more mediocre. So I didn't just hop on the bandwagon, not that it matters, and who gives a shit anyways. But with Arsenal having won it all last year, and that's a team you're probably familiar with, even if you're a casual soccer fan such as myself, it feels like they're just a little bit too good to jump on the bandwagon. That would be uncouth. However, they do have some positives working in their favor. First of all, their supporters are called Gooners. This is the second most popular use of the word Gooners. For those of you who are online, you know that a Gooner is a porn enthusiast, I would say, to put it mildly. And, we've all been there. It is what it is. So that's hilarious and a big plus. Also, their mascot, the Gunnosaurus Rex. I'm going to see if I can pull up the old Gunnosaurus Rex for those of you watching along. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, This is incredible. So if you're watching, here is Gunnosaurus Rex. That's a huge plus for me personally. It kind of looks like he's here with an Uncrustable too. So, whew, that is incredible. They do have some names that you would recognize if you watch the World Cup like me. Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, who played for England, David Raya, who played for Spain. However, I cannot, in good faith, put them at the top due to how good they are. So we're going to put them, for now, in the relegation zone. I will be updating this hopefully quarterly throughout the season. So this could change. However, to start, we will be having Arsenal in the relegation zone. They've got some work to do. Going to be tough for them. I'm going to be honest. Okay. Moving on to Aston Villa. So I have followed Premier League soccer once before, about a decade ago, when I got really into FIFA, the video game, and I was working youth soccer, and my best friend Brett was also following it at the time. Aston Villa's goalie, Brad Guzan, South Carolina Gamecock. I am a Gamecock football fan to help offset my Dodgers and Laker fandom. So I did briefly follow Aston Villa for, it must have been a season, and I tore my Achilles and I played way too much FIFA while I was recovering, and I got very burnt out on soccer as a whole. So I have followed them before. The Lions, that's their mascot. I love Lions. Fantastic mascot. Not quite Gunnosaurus Rex level, but a lion is a good, I grew up as a 90s child, The Lion King, and I was into lions before The Lion King. So great mascot. I'm familiar with them. Best friend loves them. They are good, but they aren't obnoxiously good. I believe they won perhaps the FA Cup. Does this sound familiar? Last season? I don't know. And they were, pulling up Wikipedia, they were finished fourth last season, qualified for Champions League, which we will also be covering right here. But I don't believe they have ever won the Premier League. A founding member of it in 1992. Interesting. Some neat history. Wes Edens is part owner. I know he is co-owner of the Milwaukee Bucks. So there are some pluses here with Aston Villa. However, the negatives. Their goalie, Emi Martinez from Argentina. I just really can't with Emi Martinez after the infamous World Cup photo of him with the trophy, with the goofy ass face. So for those of you who have forgotten, here we go. Courtesy of The Guardian. He won the Golden Glove Award for Best Goalkeeper back in 2022. Here he is with one of the dumbest faces you will ever see. And he is using the Goalkeeper Award as a penis. You can clearly see it there, using it as a penis in true Gooner fashion, honestly. I can't with Emi Martinez. Okay, that's too tough for me at the moment, at least. So, unfortunately, Aston Villa, you are also going to start the season off in the relegation zone. Next up, Bournemouth. I believe I'm saying that correctly. Their nickname, the Cherries, not the best nickname. I feel like we can do a little bit better. They do have kind of like a scrappy underdog story. If we go back to Wikipedia, they finished 6th last year, and I don't think they have spent a ton of time in the Premier League. So yeah, they were relegated back in 2020 and then returned in 2022 and have been up since 2022. Interesting logo of someone heading a ball with long, luxurious hair. Feels a little bit offensive to me personally. But I am liking the underdog thing, and this was a team that finished in the top 6. So not terrible by any means, but not too good to where you would feel like a complete jackass. Pulling for them, they also have American Tyler Adams on the team, which really doesn't move the needle as much as you would think because, man, the U.S. men's national team is something else. However, generally good. We're going to start off with our first top 6 team is going to be Bournemouth for the season. So we'll see if they can hang on and what they can do throughout the year, which means next up, moving on, Brentford, the Bees, much better than Cherries, not quite Lion or Gunnosaurus Rex, but, and let's see, Brentford, kind of middle of the pack last year. If we switch back to Wikipedia, finished 9th. And yeah, very prominent B on the logo. I do know they have a very extensive Wikipedia page with a lot of eventful history. I did not recognize any of the players. Rise to the Premier League in 2014. Rosters are down here. I did not recognize anybody, which is more of a reflection on me than the players. But actually, Carvalho for Portuguese sounds familiar. No, I guess not. Just a popular Portuguese last name. Don't recognize anybody, but this could be good. This is not necessarily a negative. This could be interesting because I could learn about them and learn to love them. So the Bees, as of Brandon, another B, also going to be in the top 6, keeping it moving with... Oh, we skipped someone here. Wait, I'm trying to go in alphabetical order. And if you are curious as to how that's going, not well. Let's see. Teams. Brighton and Hove Albion. So I think this is a team that just got back. Let me see. This is the problem with just putting yourself out here like this, because it's like, oh my goodness, where did this team come from? Where did they go? All right, let's go back to the tier tab. So this appears to be a seagull down here. but I don't have any notes on them. And I'm wondering how and why I skipped them. So I guess let's go to their page and figure out what we need to know about them. So Brighton and Hove Albion. Name is tricky, mouthful. Don't know if I'm saying it right. That's a negative. Seagull mascot. Seagulls are very annoying birds. I live near the beach. I have an extensive history with seagulls. Loud thieves. Okay, if you're trying to eat some peanut butter crackers on the beach, they will steal them from you. I remember this. I remember being on the beach as a child, watching a friend of my mom's, her daughter was slightly younger than me. She was probably like 4 at the time, was trying to eat one of those cheese peanut butter crackers that's orange, one of those cracker sandwiches. And the seagull just came and just stole it from her and almost ruined the day because she freaked out. She didn't handle it well. Some of that's on her. But yeah, seagull, not a good mascot. I'm going to be honest. Finished in 8th place. So they did not just get back. And I'm not going to read the full Wikipedia page to figure any of this out. Instead, let's go to the league table. This was a middle of the pack team as well. As you can see, finished 8th, which is close enough to where you're almost in Europa League phase territory, which seems important. They did qualify for the Conference League playoff round, whatever that is. We will be learning. But I just don't know how I overlooked them. And that can't be a good sign, right? If I was making all these diligent notes and overlooked them. So we're going to go ahead and put them in the near bottom, which is kind of an interesting, the near bottom. Who named these tiers? Okay. So a team that I know I took notes on because they are very popular. Next up, Chelsea. Like Arsenal, this kind of feels like a team that is not too good, as we will share the tab. They were 10th last year, so they're not necessarily too good, but incredibly well known. One of those name brand teams of the league. They do have Reece James, depending on how you feel about him. I'm generally neutral towards him, but I do recognize the name. And Enzo Fernandez, who you recognize well if you watch the World Cup final. I can't do it with Enzo Fernandez. So we're not going to waste a lot of time on Chelsea. You can work your way up again, but you're going to have to do it from relegation. Okay. Moving on. Coventry City. Coventry City. Now I'm incredibly paranoid about whether or not I have notes on them. This is a team that moved up because they're not here in last year's standings. So, yes, they are back in the Premier League for the first time since 2001. That's incredible. Haji Wright, American on their roster. This is going to be like a wait and see because, again, they just got here. Doesn't feel like they're quite good enough to risk pulling for them because they could go right back down and then we have to start this process all over again next season. But they could end up making a little Cinderella run here this year, and that would be interesting. Not much to say about the logo. A lot of birds here. I'm going to put them in the near bottom. Let's see if we can double check some stuff on them. Just to make sure I'm doing my due diligence. The Sky Blues is their nickname. We'll go to the Wikipedia page so we can get a better look at the logo. It is a couple of birds and then an elephant standing on top of a soccer ball, which defies the laws of physics. So I feel confident in my choice. Okay, moving on. Crystal Palace, almost as impractical as an elephant standing on a soccer ball, is a palace made of crystal. Seems like you're just asking to have that broken, especially in wartime. And then I don't know how you'd go about rebuilding it. Let's check out how they did last season. Near the bottom, did avoid relegation, but this does feel like a team that is like barely hanging on. So we're running into the same issues that we did with Coventry City. Let's see. They do have that would give us a little bit of an underdog factor. Yes. Chris Richards, American, doing some more digging as to why they might possibly not be good. Woody Johnson is their biggest owner, and he also owns the Jets. Now, I don't know how much overlap you have between NFL ownership and Premier League ownership in terms of his input and anything like that. But I do know that the Jets are bad, and we should probably stay away from anything to do with them. So with that being said, and an eagle as the nickname, it's whatever. So they're going to be in the relegation zone as well. You will notice that 3 teams get relegated every season. We're going to go above 3 in the relegation zone. So deal with it if that bothers you. I'm sorry. Next up, Everton. Last season, this was a bottom third team. So, not super in danger of being relegated, but not especially good. You do have a little bit of the underdog factor working in their favor. Jordan Pickford, England's national team goalie, is their goalie. What else do we have here? They have several nicknames. The Blues, the Toffees, the People's Club, the School of Science, Evertonians. Very dramatic. Looks like a lighthouse as the logo. And a nod to my other best friend, Captain Petey of Morris Island Charters. If you want to see the Morris Island lighthouse, you will take a tour with him. If you want to see whatever this lighthouse is, I don't know what to tell you. I have a decent feeling about this. So we're going to go ahead and start Everton off in the top 6. So we've got 3 top 6 teams so far. I will stick to the top 6 there. Bournemouth, Brentford, Everton. We've got a couple near the bottom in Coventry City and Brighton and Hove Albion. And then the relegation zone with the bigger name teams and the Emi Martinez teams, Arsenal, Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, and Chelsea, which means next up, Fulham. Last season, they were in the middle of the pack here. So, not great. That would lend itself to being in based on our criteria. I will say, looking at the logo, they could do a little bit better. This feels, I don't want to say it feels racist, but it feels like it could be one of those symbols co-opted by a racist group. Nicknamed the Cottagers. They play their home games at Craven Cottage. I don't find that especially interesting. Owned by Shahid Khan, the Jags owner. This is going back to the Woody Johnson conversation. The Jags are on the way up in the NFL. Had a great season last year. So a couple years ago, I probably would have run away from them when they were hiring Urban Meyer. Now, maybe not so much. They do have Anthony Robinson, who I know from Team USA, and Kevin from Brazil. And I love that they do the one name thing a lot, the Brazilians. Kevin as the one name is incredibly amusing to me for whatever reason. So in spite of the logo, I think we're going to put them as our first team in the middle, which means we are moving on to Hull City. Hull City just got up, which is not good again. And even worse for them, they are the Tigers. I mentioned I'm a Gamecock football fan. A huge rival would be the Clemson Tigers. I can't in good conscience pull for a Tiger. I'm also a Lion guy as well. Hull City, you are in the relegation zone. Sorry, that's just how it goes here. Congratulations for making it back up, though. But let's go back to our tier. Relegation zone filling up fast. A lot of teams with a lot of work to do this year. Good luck. Ipswich Town. Sorry. Ipswich Town. Let's talk about it. This is another one of those teams that was promoted, I believe. Yes, that is correct. No names I recognize. We'll go down to the players here. A lot of English and Irish players. But you do have a couple of, you got one Ivory Coast guy who tricked me because very similar to the Irish flag. But yeah, no names I recognize. They do have an Emerson with two N's, Brazilian Emerson, two N's. Something just to keep in mind. Big plus, the logo is a horse doing a control position with a soccer ball. That's intriguing to me. It seems more practical than a full-blown elephant standing on a soccer ball. I could see a horse doing this. So, that's a huge plus. Their supporters, the Blues, the Tractor Boys. I don't particularly care for that. I'm not a tractor boy. That's why. And they are new here, but the soccer horse kind of feels like there's a movie in the making, Air Bud style, because of that. I think we need more middle teams, so we will put them in the middle. Where's the horse in this? I don't know who I've just put here. All right, that's the wrong logo. Sorry. There we go. There's the horse. Okay. Have I skipped over another team? This is much harder than it looks, because there's a gang of teams. I think that was Leeds United. Yes, Do I have notes on Leeds United? I do. Whew. That was going to be tough. So let's talk about them. 49ers ownership group. That's interesting because they don't care about their players because they have them practicing next to a substation that is turning their tendons into basically like crock pot tendons, like what you would look for in a good oxtail. That's what's happening to the inside of the 49ers bodies because they are practicing next to this electrical substation. Something to keep in mind. Let's go to their wiki page. Again, this crest, not much to it. Whew, tough. Nickname, the Whites. I don't know how I missed that before. Damn, but the Whites? Because I overlooked that because we'll talk about the rest of them. Brendan Aronson on the team from America. He was the only guy I recognized. And then last year, they finished 14th. Isn't great, but reasonable. But nicknamed the Whites. Oh, my goodness. You're going to the relegation zone. To me, that's interchangeable with the Tigers. So, yeah, they were supposed to be in the middle, but I just can't. Look at me. Let's just move on. Liverpool. What are we doing with Liverpool? A lot of L teams really throwing me here. All right. A very elaborate crest with words in it, too. You'll never walk alone. That's nice. The Reds, better than the Whites, I'll tell you that. Here's another very popular team, too. And if we go back to the standings from last season, qualified for Champions League by finishing 5th. So good, popular. They are Red Sox ownership group. So this is new because we had the NFL soccer overlap and how that looked. We got baseball in soccer now. I'm not sure how that looks, but it is important to note that the Red Sox have been killing it here recently. So something to keep in mind. We'll go back. They have won it recently, I believe. And if we go to the players, a lot of names I recognize. You got Van Dijk there from the Netherlands. You got Wirtz from Germany. McAllister, I remember this guy from Argentina, except he wasn't one of those Argentinian players who was terrible to pull for. Just kind of a guy. What was that Justin Timberlake movie? He's clearly going for a Justin Timberlake look from like Sexy Back era when he was in Alpha Dog. So let me pull that up. So this is what I think he's going for with his look, with just like slightly more hair. Justin Timberlake has slightly more hair. He's probably trying to grow it out to get it to this point. So I think that's all the guys I recognize. No. Cody Gakpo, another couple of Dutch guys here with Van Dijk, Gakpo. Yeah, okay. Not bad. I think that Liverpool should be. This is a fun looking team. Most guys I recognize. No one truly offensive. We need another top 6 team, and it's going to be Liverpool, probably the most prestigious of the top 6 at this point. Perfect. That's going to take us to Manchester City. Now, if we go back here, Manchester City finished second last year. Really good, really popular team, really good history. Things that I've penalized other teams for, Arsenal, but they did not quite win it. So they've got that going for them. Another team that goes by the Blues, figure it out. Second last year. Now, the big thing going for them is going to be they have a couple of guys I do recognize, most notably Erling Haaland, who was like the breakout global star of the World Cup. Everybody loved him. And they have Cherki from France. I watched a lot of France because Kylian Mbappe is incredible. They've got Rodri and Nico Gonzalez from Spain. So some guys I recognize and I'm familiar with. And I don't think I recognize the Argentinian players, which would be good. And they do have Jack Grealish on the squad as well. And he was on Aston Villa during the era when I was pulling for Aston Villa. Let's see if we can narrow that down. Yeah, from 2013 to 2021. So I recognize a lot of people. They are really good. Are they too good to override what I just talked about? Are they too good to override all the guys I recognize? All right, relegation is pretty full. Now let's put Man City. We'll start them off near the bottom. That feels reasonable. Okay, they didn't win it all last year. So I'm not full on bandwagoning here, which means this might count if I did pick this team, Manchester United. They were third. And in the era before I even got into FIFA, I feel like everybody knew about Manchester, Man U, as they are called. The Red Devils. So yeah, it would be, let's pull up their history. This era right here, 1986 to 2013. Looks like they had pretty immediate success in the Premier League. We're trying to read it really fast. You remember those old infomercials where they would teach you how to read really fast and they just had the people just like zooming line by line? I don't know if that's actually possible or what the point would be of that. I guess if it is possible, I read to relax. It seems crazy. I know people do read to gain information, but like, damn, I don't want to race through it. The treble. The 1998-99 season was the most successful in the history of Manchester United. They won the Premier League, the FA Cup, and Champions League, becoming the first English club to achieve the feat of winning the domestic league and cup, as well as the European Cup in the same season. So this is when they would have been really popular, and I would have heard about them in the late 90s, pre-hearing about things. This is when you had to really to find information. If you heard about something, then that thing was famous, okay? No one was tweeting it at you or even putting it on MySpace at this time. This was like, damn, this team is good. So I would feel a little dirty just because they were so good that I should have hopped on the bandwagon at this point, because doing that when you're a child is reasonable. But I didn't, because I suppose I was a fool. They are owned by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers ownership. I just watched quarterback with Baker Mayfield on there. I'm out on Baker Mayfield. So that's a negative for Man U, even though he himself is not directly affiliated with Man U. Is close enough. I don't want any part of that. Okay. That's a negative for Man U. However, there are some positives. I do recognize some guys. Lisandro Martinez. I know him from the World Cup. But is he a terrible World Cup Argentinian? This face is interesting. I need to look into that. You also have Bruno Fernandes, incredible player. Mason Mount from England. Marcus Rashford from England. Let's look up Martinez and see. I feel like, if I can't quite remember what he did, he might be okay. I don't feel like looking anymore because I'm lazy. So we will count him as being an okay guy for now, and I can adjust this later. And Man U actually has not won the Premier League in a while. So let's see. So I feel less gross doing this. Because they haven't won it since. Oh, Jesus. So they haven't won it since 2013. So I think that Man U is going to be in, and we will just put them in the near bottom. Okay, perfect. Newcastle United. This team is incredibly exciting to me for one major reason. Several nicknames, most notably the Toon Army. Big Looney Tune, Tiny Toon guy here. Okay, Tiny Toon, How I Spent My Summer Vacation. Absolute masterpiece of a movie. If you have not watched it, I believe it's on YouTube. Stop what you're doing and go look at it right now and come back for the rest of the episode. Looney Tunes, obviously, Space Jam. So this is big for Newcastle United. Last season, roughly middle of the pack. Okay. I guess slightly below average. I don't know anybody from this team. None of these names ring a bell, but that's okay. We could get to know them because they're the Toon Army. So that right there just to give you an idea, if you hadn't caught on to how we were doing this, that's good enough to get them in the top 6. All right. We're not even going to waste any time. We could have just stopped right after the Toon Army revelation. Moving on, Nottingham Forest, which sounds like a British show, like maybe one of those, or like a PBS, like Masterpiece Theater movie, Nottingham Forest. How did they do? They were barely hanging on last year. 16th, 18 through 20, there are 20 teams. 18 through 20 get relegated. They barely stayed in the Premier League. But maybe things are looking up. Maybe they just need me pulling for them to do so. I will say, not the greatest logo here, just a tree with the word forest under it. Nicknames are very great. Forest, the Garibaldis, the Reds, and the Tricky Trees. The old Tricky Trees. They do have a Diamande, but it's not Jan Diamande. Because I believe he just signed with Real Madrid. But they do have a Diamande. Just a lesser Diamande, perhaps. No offense. But yeah, I'm not recognizing, I guess, Omar Richards from, how do I know this name? I'm thinking of Chris Richards again. My goodness. All right. No, I don't recognize anybody then. Tricky Trees, don't recognize anybody. Barely hanging on. Masterpiece Theater title name. Let's put them in the middle. We need more middle teams. We'll give them a shot. Okay? Where are we at? Sunderland. Oh, Sunderland. Intriguing. Top 7 last year. Qualified for the Europa League phase, which we will learn about this year. They play at the Stadium of Light. And 2 of those, nicknamed the Black Cats, incredible Janet Jackson song. I love that. Also called the Mackems. I'm less familiar with that, or if that is a song by Janet Jackson. Man, I used to love that song so much. Black Cat. It roared at the beginning. I remember being like 17. No, I was like 4, and I would always try to copy the roar. So that is good. And you know what? I know this logo. I know these creatures on this logo. It looks like a lion at first glance. But it's not. Instead, let's see. That is I'm almost certain that is from, oh, Lord help us, from the Island of Misfit Toys. I'm pretty sure that is King Moonracer. I don't know why the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer Wikipedia page, our wiki page, has made his picture so small. But this looks like a couple of King Moonracers right here. Huge plus. I love lions, but I love Rudolph the red. Good Lord. Okay, I'm going to try that again. I love lions, but I might love Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer even more. I need to do a show notes episode just breaking that down and all the issues it addresses. So, Sunderland, owned by Kyril Louis Dreyfus, actually Julia Louis Dreyfus of Seinfeld fame, her cousin. I looked this up. Decent team. Who do we recognize here? Grant Xhaka. I think that's how you say that, from Switzerland. I do know him. I think that's going to be it. This is, the King Moonracer logo, that about makes it. This is going in the top 6. And that leads Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham Hotspur. Hotspur. They barely missed out on being relegated. A Hotspur sounds like a description for maybe you had too much spicy food and used the bathroom the next day. And you're like, that was like a hot spur coming out. Nicknamed the Lily Whites. Well, come on. Let's be for real. Who do I recognize? Christian Romero from Argentina. Now, I don't know if he necessarily did anything egregious during his time on the field, but he got a lot of camera time to the point where I started not liking his face. He became to represent Argentina even more so than Messi, because Messi is above Argentina just about, it feels like. But Romero came to represent them. Incredible defender. I think that's what he plays. Center back. But he became the representation to me of what they were doing. I think he had a huge goal actually that bummed me out. Let's see. Yeah, against Egypt. Maybe I hate him for scoring against Egypt, which seems unfair, but that's never stopped me before. Not a good team. Not a good nickname. They are going in the relegation zone for now. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Perfect. Okay. So I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anybody because my notes were missing somebody. To recap, top 6, Bournemouth, Brentford, Everton, Liverpool, Newcastle United, and Sunderland. Congratulations. You are starting off in a great position for the 2026-27 Premier League season to become the favorite team of Beyond the Arc with Brandon Silvers. In the middle, we've got, I got to remember, it's hard just to do it just off the logo. We've got Fulham, we've got Ipswich Town, we've got Nottingham Forest. And near the bottom, we've got Brighton Hove and Albion. My goodness, they should be moved down just for getting on my nerves. Man City, Man U, who else? Whose logo is this? Jesus. Middle. Leeds United. This is a team. Let me go back to look at my logos. You got to have a good logo. Okay? And it's driving me crazy. And you should just be able to click. I sound so old. I want to say that's... We're going to scroll through the logos real quick. Let's see. No. Okay, that's right. The fucking elephant. Coventry City. Okay. Near the bottom. Brighton, Hove, Albion. Coventry City, Man City, Man U. Relegation zone. Arsenal, Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, Chelsea, Hull City. Tottenham Hotspur. That's got to be Leeds United. Yes. Lock it in. That's where we're at. Whew. That was a lot, but that's okay. So, again, head on over to brandonsilvers.com, subscribe, and I will put the Premier League games in the world's greatest weekly sports watch guide that comes out every Thursday morning. It'll be a lot of fun to follow along. We'll also be checking in, again, like I said, quarterly on the Premier League. I'll be adjusting my rankings as the season goes on, and I get to learn playing styles and players and supporters and all that. Leave me a comment with who your team is and why you think I'm an idiot for not ranking them higher, or who you hate and why you think I'm an idiot for not ranking them lower. Very excited about following club soccer for the first time ever, after always getting into the international events. So this should be fun as we learn. Got to learn the game, got a lot to learn. So if I get on here sounding like an expert, I won't do that. I don't have to caveat anything because I'm one of the best at what I do. And so I'm not going to act like a dickhead. I'm excited to learn, to get into another sport that can either make me happy or disappoint me, probably both. And yeah, let's have fun with this. Hope y'all have a fantastic week. Got a lot of great stuff planned. College football season's coming up. NFL's coming up. We got to talk some NBA stuff soon too. So stay tapped in right here. Thank you for watching, rating, subscribing, listening, reviewing, sharing, all that fun stuff. And I will catch you later.